What if I told you there's a simple, almost elegant geometric shape that might just connect the engine of pure mathematics, the stability needed for something like quantum computing, and yeah, the very code of life itself? We're going to dive into this today because we are exploring a really fascinating structure called the PEREZ hourglass.
I know, it sounds a little out there, right? But that's the central mystery we're tackling. Could there really be a hidden mathematical architecture, some kind of blueprint that lays out the fundamental rules for our own biology?
So just look at this. On the left, you've got the PEREZ hourglass, this beautiful, intricate fractal. And on the right, well, that's the universal genetic code table. That's the language of DNA. Now, at first glance, they look like they're from completely different worlds. But stick with me, because by the end of this, you are going to see a connection between them so profound, it's honestly hard to ignore.
So let's get into it. What exactly is this hourglass? Well, imagine a shape that's born from a single point, and then it just expands outward in two opposite directions. It creates these two perfectly mirrored, yet, and this is key, fundamentally different hemispheres.
This is where things get really cool. You have this incredible duality. The north hemisphere, that's the top part, it's built on just simple classic addition. It gives us the famous Sierpinski triangle, and it represents pure, unchecked exponential growth. But the south is its perfect opposite. It's built on recursive subtraction. It creates this kind of, well, digital antimatter, a ghost-like structure of positive and negative numbers that are always canceling each other out. And the result? Perfect, intricate balance.
And check this out. Right in the middle, you've got the waist. That's the equator. It's the exact point where the world of endless addition flips over into the world of complex subtraction. And the whole thing is held together by what you could call an indestructible skin. The outer edges, as you can see, are all just the number 1. That skin ensures that all the chaotic subtractions happening inside the southern hemisphere, they never break the system. It stays perfectly intact.
Okay, so it's a cool-looking shape, for sure. But here's where it gets wild. This hourglass isn't just a pretty pattern. It's a generator. It acts like a mathematical prism. You shine a light through it, and out the other side pop 3 of history's most legendary, most important number sequences. They just emerge.
Let's break that down. First, the north hemisphere, with all its simple addition, naturally gives us Pascal's triangle. That's the engine of exponential growth, 2 to the n. Then you go to the south. With its perfect plus-minus symmetry, it naturally encodes the Fibonacci sequence, the key to the golden ratio. And finally, if you just count up the positive numbers inside that southern hemisphere, you get something called the Lichtenberg sequence. Think of that one as the system's ultimate regulator, making sure the whole thing always stays in perfect balance.
And let me just pause on that last one for a second because this is a huge deal. The Lichtenberg sequence was a total puzzle for mathematicians for more than 200 years. Nobody could find a simple, elegant proof for it. And then along comes the PEREZ hourglass, and it provides the very first visual, geometric proof of its existence. That alone is pretty incredible.
So we have these two completely opposite worlds, right? One of explosive growth, one of perfect balance. But how do we know they're truly locked together? Well, it turns out there's a master key, a single equation that proves these two halves are performing a perfect perpetual dance.
It's called Theorem 8. And honestly, this is the linchpin of the whole thing. It's the formula that demonstrates without a doubt that the explosive, additive energy of the north is directly feeding and controlling the stable, subtractive complexity of the south. And there it is. Look how simple that is. So elegant, yet so powerful. The growth in the north, that's 2 to the n, plus the population of the south at that very same level, that's L of n, perfectly, and I mean perfectly, predicts the population of the south 2 levels further down. They aren't 2 separate systems, they're one.
Okay, let's make that real so you can see it in action. Let's say we look at the 4th level, so n equals 4. The north's growth is 2 to the 4th power, which is 16. The south's Lichtenberg number at that same level is 5. Now add them together, 16 plus 5, that's 21. So what's 21? It's the Lichtenberg number exactly 2 steps later at level 6. It works every single time. It's perfect.
And this right here is where it all comes back around. We started with the question about the code of life, right? We've just seen how this hourglass holds a perfect mathematical balance. So now, let's take a closer look at that 6th level, the very same one from our example.
So at level 6, n equals 6, the north hemisphere's growth engine, 2 to the n, gives us the number 64. Just keep that number in your head for a second. 64.
Now, at that exact same level, n equals 6, the south hemisphere's balancing engine, the Lichtenberg sequence, gives us the number 21.
So the hourglass has naturally handed us two numbers at this specific level, 64 and 21.
And here it is. This is the moment. The universal genetic code, the language of our DNA, is based on 64 possible combinations, or codons. And what do those 64 codons do? They map to exactly 20 standard amino acids, plus one stop signal. That is a total of 21 distinct biological functions. The numbers are a perfect match. The 64 from the north, the 21 from the south. The architecture of growth and balance in this mathematical object is numerically identical to the architecture of our own DNA.
The legendary mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan once said, "An equation for me has no meaning unless it expresses a thought of God." You know, when you see a connection this deep, this perfect, between pure mathematics and the actual fabric of life, it really does make you wonder.
So, what do you think? Is this all just one of the most unbelievable cosmic coincidences ever discovered? Or have we just caught a glimpse of a piece of the fundamental blueprint that connects everything? The math, at least, that part is undeniable. The rest, well, that's for us to figure out.